Record. That's terrible. What am I doing? All right. Did you make me co-host? He just
No
didn't.
worries, it's on now. So we are recording as of
He
now.
just, but it's not recording on mine. Oh, yes, we are. Okay, we're good. All right. So did you but now can you do Anthony, he needs to be co-host if he's got some slides or anything. And Gianni, can you do that? Or just give me co-host one or the other. It's all
So,
good.
so he has privileges to share his screen now, so he should
Oh,
be good to go.
oh, okay. All right. So, all right. I'll tell you what, everybody, I appreciate y'all. Hey, we're going to kick this off. And I think a little bit last night, I don't want to take up too much time on introduction, which we've already kind of went around, kind of know each other. So what I do want to do is talk a little bit about kind of why we're here and what got us here. I think that's kind of critical to what we're doing. So, like we know, blockchain technology, IoT, 5G, and AI are becoming more popular to investors every single day. The fourth industrial revolution has opened up avenues to financial investments that weren't really possible before. You know, the advent of Bitcoin, Forex, Ethereum, auto trading, cloud mining, and so on hasn't even hit full speed yet, but there are already thousands and thousands of people interested in it and investing in those particular technologies. So tonight, this is why we're here, to have that discussion, education, bring value, and receive value. There are so many cryptocurrencies competing for the title of world reserve currency. And those cryptocurrencies are competing with Bitcoin, the king or queen in the digital space, to be used in various trading and marketing programs, all of which are making the average person very well off. The availability of these technologies and alternative currencies make them very attractive and ultra profitable, yet they are seriously volatile investments to trade in the market if you're not aware of what you're doing. We've created a learning experience that is strategically simple and is set up for anyone that has a genuine desire to understand the advanced technology that is causing a massive buzz and is considered by top financial experts the greatest wealth transfer in our history. You all will experience tonight's information about Bitcoin, about security, about personal experiences around that. Why do I say that in that way? Because, disclaimer, I am not a financial advisor. I am a average person that invest in things that I believe have some value, and those experiences have given me opportunity to do very well in some cases and lots of lessons learned, and I'm here to pass that information on. That's why I invite people that have a little more knowledge, background, and experiences than I have, so we can all share in bringing that value. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Anthony Hale, a great friend of mine. I've learned a lot from him. We've presented together at different venues. We've done workshops about financial literacy. And so listening to his story, I was like, man, y'all got to hear about this. So yeah, Anthony, I appreciate you being here. Please, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Rashid. Appreciate the invitation. And hopefully everybody can hear me fine. But I'm Anthony Hale. See if I can get the right angle so I can get my colors to come through right. But anyway, happy to be here. I don't have any presentation really. I think from the dynamic presentations we had yesterday, from that perspective, I just want to kind of represent that kind of middle of the road person with respect to an understanding of crypto and things like that. So, didn't really get a whole lot of financial experience passed down from my family. But I did get a couple of people to whisper in my ear once I was getting started with the career world to advise me to make sure I invest in my 401k and things like that. And even while I was doing my intern, there were just I ran into certain people who encouraged that. And I had the opportunity to do that while I was an intern, which was a surprising thing when I was ready to buy my house that, hey, guess what? I had these $25, $50 investments as an intern so many years ago and forgot about them and looked back at them later and was like, wow, that can help me with my down payment. So really kind of have seen the benefit of long-term investments, using time as an important factor when you're looking at investing. And so, I did that with my career and have been, decently successful with respect to that. But then this whole crypto thing came along, and as one of the previous speakers said, you hear about all this noise when things are exciting. And so I said, hey, let me learn about this. Let me figure out how to get in. And at that time, the process was not efficient. Yeah, I think it probably took me a couple of days to get approved to be able to move some funds into that process. And it was a lot of technology barriers as well that I think have improved over time. And so I was able to buy my first set of crypto, and I didn't buy Bitcoin. I bought. I tried to buy a cheaper one, so I went the Ripple route. I went with the XR. And at the point I bought it, I think it was towards a high because everything was exciting. And guess what? It was towards a high and exciting. And so things went down. And I was like, oh boy, this is not the right time. So I decided it was important for me to learn more about this thing that I invested in. Of course, I only invested as much as I was willing to lose because it was a new technology, something I wasn't very familiar with. And so, I was okay with the investment, but nobody likes losing. So I went and learned. Boyce Watkins was one of the sources that I reached, that I used as a resource. And, eventually I ran into the right set of information and said, wow, that's why I've been losing on this thing. So got the right education, which I think some, opportunities like this provide. And once I got that, I was like, okay, this is the right time and the wrong time to be investing in these different opportunities. And then I saw go down.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Anthony is.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Looks like he was disconnected. He's probably on a Wi-Fi.
Uh-oh. Okay.
We have to take some time just to wait for him to come back.
Okay. Well, no worries. I do have, did anybody take a look at where Bitcoin is now? Anybody? Is he coming back? Oh, because I was thinking about asking a question about, because sometimes people see, the numbers, and when we announced that there was going to be some sessions, Bitcoin was around 19, 20, kind of fluctuating between 17,000, 20,000. And so now we're looking at it, and it went back up, right? Almost 23,000. And so does anybody, are you, thinking about it, or if you're kind of concerned, like, hey, what's going on with the market? Why does Bitcoin seem to fluctuate so much? We can kind of have a little conversation until he pops back in. And if he doesn't, then that's okay. We'll move on. But yeah, just, a couple of minutes here. If anybody wants to, talk to that a little bit, or have any question about kind of what's going on with that, or why that happens, or, anything.
Well, I can share my screen and show where Bitcoin is at this point. If you just give me a quick second here, I'll show my
Yanni, go ahead.
Oh, you want me? That was down Damien. I can speak though, but I think Damien was speaking there.
Oh, I'm sorry. If you want to guess, then guess right. Go for it. I won't show it until until you're there.
No, I mean, because I saw he came off mute, and I said maybe he just wanted to contribute.
Yeah, I was about to, and then I heard Damien speak. So yeah, I just see that it's at 22,976 right now. Oh, he's about to share his screen. There he goes.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I say he could do that, but you could, go ahead
Yeah,
and it's all good.
That's where we are
On
right
Google.
now.
Yeah.
You can see how over time, how it has dipped and how it has risen to the current state of right now at 22,994.70.
Right.
Amazing.
Yeah. So pretty much when it comes down to everything, let's talk about 2017, the end of November, 2017, early December, when we saw that rise in Bitcoin price, right? There's a saying that goes, once the world knows about something like this, then you no longer kind of want to be in it, right? And that's because all of a sudden, everybody started talking about it. It's mainstream media. It was all over the place. People were talking about how they're gonna have family conversations around Thanksgiving about it. How buy some Bitcoin for your family members for Christmas, things like that, right? But you have to understand that there's people who've been in the crypto space since the early 2008, 9 time frame when it was a few cents. You know what I mean? $1. So, and they were the original believers of it, right? So they've accumulated mass amounts. And then you have the financial institutions. I know you talked about this a little bit yesterday, but the financial institutions, these are banks, right? Insurance companies that have massive amounts of money, billions or hundreds of millions of dollars that they're able to put into this. So what happens is that there's a term, if you're not familiar yet, it's called whales. All right.
Yeah.
So what whales are people who just have massive amounts of cryptocurrency or Bitcoin. Let's just talk about that. So it may be somebody who has literally 500 Bitcoin today. They might have bought it for $1 and they got $500 worth, however much that is worth today. But there are people who are out there who have hundreds or thousands of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right?
Hey, oh, Johnny. Okay, I'm sorry. Anthony, I know he got back in.
Yeah.
So I'll let him continue because I appreciate that. I appreciate that a whole lot. I was like, man, I'm about to settle in here. But I know, Anthony, he was getting to the good part. So before you get to your good part,
all right.
Anthony, if you could go ahead, man. Hey, Carol.
Hey.
Good to see you.
You too.
All right. Okay, Anthony, I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
But I'll finish up because I'm actually looking forward to hearing what other people share. So I think I got cut off where I was talking about buying high and seeing the loss and then investing in education, getting smarter about the technology, and learning how to do things differently. And so things dropped and things kind of leveled out for a while. And then things started growing again, but I wasn't paying attention until it got exciting again. And so right around 15,000 is when I decided to buy a little bit more. And this time I went Bitcoin, Ethereum this time. And I'm happy that now it's at 23,000. But at the same time, I'm kicking myself like, you could have been investing all the time. You could have been looking at it when it was down. But I think this is a new area. And so, people that don't have the same risk tolerance may be a little bit slower to move forward with these things. But that does mean that you may miss out on opportunities. So now that I've seen it do at least 2 big waves, I can see that this thing might be around for a little while. So I'm definitely be paying more attention to it. So that's really my story, and I'll hand it off to somebody else.
Well, hey, Anthony, on that note, because I know that you have, like I said, a breadth of knowledge as far as investment. You've done some investments and had some experience in that space. When you talk about that risk tolerance, how does someone that's not really familiar or engaged that much in investing, how do they build their confidence? What was something that kind of gave you a little more confidence to dive back in?
So, experience is always a teacher. Looking at the history of something is always very helpful to me. So when I look at the stock market, which is probably the longest teacher I can use, I can look at different crashes that have occurred and how over the long haul you can see a gradual buildup over time, with time being that big factor. I think with crypto being as young as it is, time is still a factor, which I think is a positive indicator for this capability. But I think opportunity is also showing itself to be a big thing. So when everybody's super excited, you need to be paying attention then. But you also need to have a strategy that supports you over the long haul, and that's true with your 401k investments as well. That you don't want to just hold on to the side and wait to jump in at a certain point. Kind of investing a little bit over the course of time is really helpful. So, but again, I'm not a financial advisor. I will definitely say that. Just sharing my experience. But yeah, you can learn from history. But you can't predict the future, but you can learn from history. And so you can follow the trends. And that's what I normally do.
Okay, I appreciate that. Excellent. Anybody else have any questions or comments on that? No worries. Welcome, Carol. Would you like to announce yourself to the audience?
Hi, my name is Carol Williams White, and I am a Bitcoin enthusiast.
Crypto Carol.
Yep, Crypto Carol. And also, my mantra is basically you have to have more than one revenue stream. So I believe you have to have at least 4 or 5 revenue streams. A lot of the revenue streams that I believe, can be those passive revenue streams, but you have to have them. And I'm a serial entrepreneur.
Thank you so much. Yes, Carol is, she's in Chicago. I
Yes.
believe. Yeah, okay.
I'm in a suburb of Chicago. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Well, welcome. All right. We are at that moment that I know Mr. Gianni is itching to give us that value. Okay. Is there anybody else? Anybody else got anything before we go into our second speaker? Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, Gianni, it's all yours, sir.
All right, thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? Can you hear me, Rashid?
Yes, sir.
All right, great. Hey, I don't have access. Let me see. I don't think I have. Oh, I do have access to share.
Okay, good.
Okay. All right, great. Hey, again, happy to be here. Part of the story that I was just talking about when it comes to what happened, at the end of 2017, when everybody started putting their money into cryptocurrency, right? Especially the most notable one, Bitcoin, right? So everyone started putting their money in there, and we saw the run up, right? But like I was just explaining, there's a term called whales, right? If you're not familiar yet, whales are people who have, mass amounts of Bitcoin. So during that time, people saw this is the opportunity for us to get out. It's going to bring the price back down, right? Nothing goes up straight forever, right? There's something called a correction in every single market, right? Or a retracement, right? It's almost like a staircase. You have to build the staircase to go up. It's not just going to go up like a straight hill. And then I know we talked, you guys talked about yesterday, the financial institutions that came in and downplayed cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and said it's not going to last and things like that, right? But you have to, when you look at that, we saw it from the standpoint, I forget who was mentioning it yesterday about Jamie Dimon being on the, the one of the main contributors to the negative news about cryptocurrency,
Right.
talking about the price, how it's a bubble, it's not going to last. And then what happened though was they knew that type of news, right? Because the market always responds to news. President election, what happens? January, what's probably going to happen? You're going to see a dip, right? But what happens when the news goes out and people are like panicking because did we buy too high? We saw it, it was seen that it's dropping, but they brought the price down, right? And that gave the institutional traders, right, the financial institutions and the other whales opportunity to scoop up more Bitcoin, right? Because it was really high to them, even though they do believe that Bitcoin should hit 6 figures, okay? Some even say $1 million. But what I'm trying to let you know is that, part of their strategy is to buy when everybody is leaving, thinking that they lost. You never
Right.
lose until you actually sell your Bitcoin, right? But just like somebody mentioned earlier too, I think it was actually Anthony. You don't ever want to invest more money than you're willing to lose. Right? that's the most important thing, because if you are putting too much than you can handle, then when you see these dips after all these years, it's like you start panicking, anxiety, start questioning yourself. So it's always important that no matter what you invest in, and I'm not a financial advisor at this moment, but when no matter what you invest in, it's always what you are willing to lose. Okay. So I wanted to talk about some quick tips and things. I know yesterday was covered a little bit about having a hardware wallet, right? I know it was talked about the Ledger Nano S. Okay, so you have different types of wallets, and it's important that I touch on this really quick because being new to the space, if you have the wrong wallet, you are very vulnerable to theft. Okay, because cryptocurrency was created so people can be their own bank. Okay, help the unbanked become bankable, give you 100% control of your currency. So there's no banks out there that's going to be able to insure your money, $250,000 worth of crypto insurance or anything like that, right? There's no oh, I sent it to the wrong address, so can you send it back? You don't know who that person is, right? They're anonymous. So there's different types of wallets, right? You have what's called a hot wallet, and that is, those are on exchanges. So what is an exchange? You have Coinbase as an exchange. You have blockchain. You have Binance. There's all these different types of, even for instance, your Robinhood or Cash App, right? That's where you exchange your US dollar currency for some Bitcoin. That's an exchange, right? So if you leave it on a hot wallet on an exchange, okay, is very minimal security. Yes, somebody can get your password. And with that being said, and this is not to scare people, it's just to protect you, okay? If you're using, let's say, Coinbase, for instance, okay? You don't, and you're already using an email address that you use often, right? You send people emails from this address. I highly encourage you to go ahead tonight, create a whole new email address that you're never going to give to anybody, never going to email anybody, and make that your new Coinbase email address. The reason being is because there are people who, if they find out that you have cryptocurrency, they can do some digging, try to figure out what the password is for your email address, okay? Do a forgot password on Coinbase and take all your crypto, okay? So that's something that you really be thinking about. There's some other security measures I can probably, send over to Rashid. He can distribute when it comes to like even making sure that your phone is secured, because again, when people find out, or like just hackers that are looking for these things, you don't want to be like, there's nothing that the government can do about it. There really is not. So you got a hot wallet. You don't really want to leave your crypto on Coinbase. What was talked about yesterday, what was shown, the hardware wallet, that's really where you want to put your cryptocurrency. Now, if you want to have your money on your cryptocurrency on like Coinbase because you're doing a little bit of trading, you're sending some money, things like that, like, okay, that's fine. Or if you're going to be using it for actual things, but you want to keep a majority of what you're actually using for like your saving portion in your hardware wallet, okay? And then you have what's called a software wallet. Those are things that you can put on your computer. There's a great one out there by Exodus. I believe the website is Exodus IO. But it's good. It's better than having a. Let me share it with you really quick. Sharing my screen right now. Yeah, here you go. All right, so this right here, it's better than having your crypto on a hot wallet, right, on an exchange, but you have to be able to, you download this and it's on your computer, right? You get your keys and everything like that. Everything is yours, okay? You get your seed words, all of that, okay? So this is yours 100%, okay? But it's still just not the best. It's way better than having it on Coinbase. It's on your computer, but again, the best is to have it on a ledger, okay? I don't want to beat this subject too much, but I do want to just stress the importance of making sure proper record keeping. Again, those 12 seed words that you get, they only appear once when you create your wallet. All right. You want to make sure you write it down once, maybe twice, and you put it in a safe place. If you have a safety deposit box at the bank, or if you have a safe at your home, or somewhere where you can trust to put it, even if you're going to put it, I know it sounds crazy to think, but what happens if you pass away? Who's gonna have access to it? What if you have 5 Bitcoin on there and it hits $1 million a coin? Who do you need to have access to that? So is it going to be part of your will? Is it going to be part of your trust? Maybe, you got to think about continuity. Okay. But just make sure you have it. They sell, some places, they actually sell like these like metal plates that it can get engraved on. So that way in the event of a fire, it doesn't burn, right? I know this is like, oh, this is overwhelming. I don't want to overwhelm you. I just want you to think about things. And just hearing this information truly and honestly is going to put you far ahead, further ahead than any other like newcomer to the space, okay? Because they're either going to learn the hard way or it's going to take them several years until they learn.
Yeah.
So this is, again, a great one here. Going to, can you see my screen on CoinMarketCap?
Yes.
All right, great. So going here, these are 2 places that I use to check out what cryptocurrency is doing, okay? Now, I'm sure you all heard of CoinMarketCap. If you haven't, this is where most people like to go to take a look at all the, how much is it now?
That's six.
It was normally up here at the top. Maybe I can't see because my
So 654. What's that?
yeah. I was gonna
Billion?
say okay. Here 8,000.
Oh,
There's 8,000 different cryptocurrencies.
yeah.
Okay, so
Lord.
before I remember that used to say 1,400.
Yeah.
All right, so this is where you can see all of that. Now, if you're clicking on it to go in it, click on Bitcoin. Okay, you can read about it, all these different things about these different coins, and then like there's a lot of information, and what I'm trying to get to here is that people like to find out how high was this coin before, how high was this coin before. So I just want to show you that here's was another site for you, athcoinindex.com. ATH stands for all-time high. Okay, so all-time high coinindex.com, and it does all the work for you. It tells you already what the all-time high was and what it's at currently. Okay, yes, different numbers here and there, just a little bit, because you also got to understand all exchanges. You know, they're all separate. So whatever price it's set on that exchange is the price. All right. So it's like an average of all these different exchanges. Okay. There's some people who like literally make money by finding out what exchange is high, what exchange is low, and they just trade it among the exchanges and they make some money that way. Okay. But it tells you, look, XRP, you know, it's currently at around 57 cents a coin, but the all-time high was $3.40. Okay. You know, look, Bitcoin Cash, $3.12. All-time high was 3,700. Right. So you can look at this to kind of get an idea of what coins have performed really well in the past. And I say that because I know a lot of you are new, and that is great that you're getting this information. But also, you're able to look at this and get a quick snapshot of before you knew anything about crypto, what was actually performing well in the times that crypto was booming. Okay. Find out why they were performing well. Right. So if you look and you're like, okay, why was, let me think of a good one, you know, why was Dash, for instance? Why was Dash performing so well? Why was it $1,400 a coin and today it's 106? Research Dash. Find out that it's like one of the top rated privacy coins. What does privacy coin mean? Start going down the rabbit hole. All right. You'll be blown away about the things that you learn. But I just wanted to show you this because by knowing what was performing well in the past, you can then in the future, and knowing why it performed well in the future, when you start seeing the articles, you're like, oh, that's the type of thing that they were doing back then, or they're advancing what they were doing. I think it's going to take off. You know what I mean? So I hope that that was some good, valuable information for you right there. And just know, this is like the blockchain.com. This is the blockchain explorer, right? So if you go to, not necessarily you have to go look at this. There's really no point in looking at it. I just wanted to bring it up to you to let you know that, listen, crypto is moving. All right. This right here, you've heard of the blockchain yesterday, right? The public, decentralized, distributed ledger, right? That is, everybody can see. So we take a look here. This is real time. You see the time, at least for me in Florida, it's 8:54, right? But you see the amount of Bitcoin that is being moved. The amount of Bitcoin and the dollar amount per second, per minute. Okay. So I'm just letting you know, like, there are heavy players in it, and there are people who are so active in this, right? So you right now, I commend you for, you know, saying, hey, I want to get in on this, because you see right now, like, this isn't just a small group of people. Like that was just a 900, how much was that? $981,000. 42 Bitcoin just got moved. Okay. So, so yeah, that's pretty big deal. Now, what I want to share, I'm sorry, can you close this door? What I want to share with you right now is, oh, let me stop sharing this screen. So really quick before I go on, anybody have any questions about what I shared? And is it good so far? Like,
I mean, I appreciate it. Anybody, I mean, I'm definitely, like I said, remembering last time I looked at that coin market cap was it was about 2,100 coins. So I was like, oh my gosh, it's 8,000 now.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, Crystal.
Hey,
I see that you're on. I'm sorry, I didn't see you earlier. Randy, I didn't see you earlier. You got any questions, any comments?
no, I just got on. It's really excellent information. I'm fairly familiar, but you showed some sites that I hadn't seen, which I think are really awesome. So I appreciate the information. Is there any way you can put the links in the chat or something, or?
Absolutely, we can go ahead and do that. And
Okay.
yeah. What
Awesome.
I want to share.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for your feedback. What I want to share really quick when it comes to that blockchain.com, that if ever you send Bitcoin somewhere, right? I'm not gonna lie, even still to this day, it's kind of like all right, did it make it? Did it make it? Because it's not necessarily instantaneous like it's supposed to be, you know? But if ever you find yourself like wondering what's going on, normally it needs at least like what's called 3 confirmations. Okay. That's a term you can look into what that is, but that just means that, there's an agreement among the different, miners and things out there. So if you ever if you send a transaction, you could take that transaction number and you just copy it and paste it right here in this block, right? You go to blockchain.com, you'll see it right there. You post it, and it will let you know if how many confirmations it has so far. So it kind of gives you an ease of mind, like, okay, that's why, like, these are unconfirmed transactions, right? So when you go on there, it will tell you how many actual, I got this thing in my way, like confirmations right now, 0. So once you see like, oh, it's at 2 confirmations, you're like, okay, it's almost done. You know what I mean? Like, and then once it's at your 3rd confirmation, it's like, you should see it any second, or you should receive confirmation from the person you sent it to, like, yeah, I received it. Okay. So it can be a scary thing sometimes when you send it. You're like, did I do it right? But, as long as you put the information in correctly, you're going to be okay. Now, what I wanted to talk about really quick is dollar cost averaging. Show of hands or in the chat, or maybe you can speak up, yes or no. Who's familiar? Are you familiar with dollar cost averaging? I'm looking in the chat, so I'm waiting to hear. I hear no. I see no. So far, 1 person, no. 2 people. Thank you, Damien and Letty. All right. So, what is dollar cost averaging? This is going to be great that you learned this now. All right. Because by learning it now, you can implement it now. Like, here's what dollar cost averaging says. Basically, you have somebody who wants to buy anything, like cryptocurrency, buy some stock, right? Buy an index, buy a mutual fund, whatever the case may be. But let's say something is trading at $20 a share, all right? And you pay $100, and you're going to pay $100 each month. Well, what happens is it goes up 20, 40, 60, 80. So as the price goes up and you're paying the same amount, you're getting less shares every time it goes up, right? And then when it takes a dive and it's only $15 now, $12, $13, $11, $10, you're getting more shares for the same amount of money. But here's the weird psychology about it. Why am I going to keep putting the same amount of money into something that is losing value? Right? This is where people, if you don't get this early, you won't last. Right? There's a term, it's called HODL, right? Hold on for dear life. HODL. That's a cryptocurrency thing. Hold on for dear life. Now, the thing about it is, it says this, you know, your brain is fighting you because you're like, Bitcoin is tanking. Why would I continue to put money into this? The news is saying that Bitcoin is dead. CEOs are saying it's never coming back. People are laughing at me because I've been talking about it for years, right? So let's go back, and it's ironic, Rashid, that yesterday, December 17th, 3 years exactly, was when Bitcoin, around the time it hit its all-time high, 3 years ago.
Yep.
Okay. So let's just say, you know, I'm a real estate agent, right? Realtor. You just bought your house in December 27th, 2008, right? What happened like around the next day? The market crashed. Right? And I still have people to this day that talk to me about how they don't want to buy a home because they think the market's going to crash. And I'm like, all right, but let's really think about it. I say, if you look back at what the values of a home were in 2008, beginning of 2009, and you look at it today, is it less or more? It's more. So
More.
what are you scared about?
Yeah.
You're going to have your home for 20, 30, however many years, unless you got, you know, some short-term goals, but what were they fearing, right? It's not like something was going to come in and be a disruptor to the housing market, meaning, oh, we no longer live in homes. We're going to live in these floating pods. You know what I mean? I don't see a house being replaced unless we start talking about we're going to live in space and come to Earth every now and then. Like, I don't know, right? But let's talk about if you bought $100 worth of Bitcoin on December 17th, 2017, $100 consistently, okay? This is what, and the dollar cost averaging also, you have to use the same consistent amount, okay? So what would that have gotten you? 0.0052 Bitcoin, okay? But then in January, it started declining. And I got these historic snapshots, okay? I'll show you where to find them. But look at every single month, the beginning of the month, every day faithfully putting $100 into your Bitcoin, okay? So at the end of the year of 2018, so from January 7th to December 2nd, it had a year-end change of negative 75%. Okay, so you would have put $1,200 in there total, and been down to like what $300, $400, something around there, maybe two, and you would have been like, wow, that was the worst investment ever. But if you continued on, okay, if you continued on, let's say through January 2019, $100 each month. Look at these years, these time frames, right? But what does that mean? It means you buy more. But again, your mind is telling you you're crazy. Why would you buy more? Look how low it got. You were buying at 19,000. It's at $3,000, $4,000 a coin. Keep putting your $100, right? So, you know, the question was asked yesterday, can you buy fractions, not a whole Bitcoin? Yes. And it'd be like years and years ago, that was a very big misconception that you had to buy one coin and it was, or a single coin, I should say. And, and you know, it was $7,000. I can't buy a coin. So people missed out because they had the wrong idea. Yes, you're buying fractions of it. So can you accumulate a single Bitcoin this way? Absolutely. I'm going to show you how. So as you continue to invest that $100, right? Look, at the end of December 2019, year-end change for Bitcoin, now it's up 82% for that year. Okay. I don't know if about you, but that's exciting. Like, if you look at your bank, how much are they giving you as a rate of return in your savings account? 0.01%. If you find a CD, 1.85%. Okay. Now the S&P 500 and just, you know, does great, 12%. You know, mutual funds historically for almost 100 years, so like 96 years, doing about 12%. You know, there's funds up this year, up 26%. That's great and all, but 82%, that's unheard of. But you got to remember, with great rewards comes great risk, right? Or great risk can come great rewards, and vice versa. Great loss, right? 75%. Who's hearing about that too? Nobody's hearing that, right? So let's go further. January of this year to December. All right. So January to December, year-end change, because it started at $7,400 this year. And now here we are. I know it's higher than 19 now. I was just going off the December 6th snapshot. 161% gains this year. All right. So what does that all total out to? Your total cost over those 37 months, you put $100 every single month. You put $3,700 in. You now have 0.48 Bitcoin. Okay. So what does that look like? Well, you put $3,700 in. You have 0.48 Bitcoin. Your balance is now $11,024. That's 198% gain in 3 years. Now, I know you guys are here. You guys want to be rich. You know what I mean? You want to be rich. You want to, you know, hit it big, and not saying that you can't. But if you're somebody who's like, look, $100, that's me. You know, you know, this is what I can afford to lose. I would love to accumulate a Bitcoin. Well, this is how you do it. You know, if you feel like, hey, you got lots of money to put into it, you know, and you know, or other altcoins, so that way you can run it up later on, you know, by all means do it. But for some of you who want to get involved, not want to get left behind, but you just like feel like, is a little bit here and there going to help me? Is it going to do it? And I'm here to tell you yes. All right, because really quick, I asked, well, how can you get a whole coin? Well, what if you were able to do just $210 a month? Okay, so let me show you. Okay, $210 a month consistently. You would have put $7,000, $7,700 into it, and it would have accumulated one whole coin. Over 3 years, it would have took you to accumulate that. Don't worry about this gain. I don't have it set up as a calculated. But you would have went from putting $7,700 to now having $23,000, one single Bitcoin. And what happens if Bitcoin actually, I mean, it's simple math, right? If I say, if it hits 500,000, well, you have $500,000. You know what I mean? But so if you were someone that was like, you know, Has anyone ever heard the phrase double down? Right? Double down when cryptocurrency, you
Yes,
also heard buy the dips, right? If you ever heard buy the dips.
Yep.
So this example is, what if every time the month prior was higher than this month, excuse me, yeah, if the month prior was higher than this month, maybe you just put 1.5 times. So instead of $100, you do 150, right? It was 19, so it's 16 now. I'm gonna do 150. It dropped to 8, I'm gonna do 150. It's higher than 8, I'm gonna go back to my 100, right? Because it's higher, I don't want to put too much more into it, right? Oh, it's at 6, I'm gonna put 150 because it's lower than 11, right? You get the picture, right? So same thing. Let's see what the bottom says. You would have put 4,600 in there. You would have accumulated 0.61 Bitcoin. You would have a balance of $14,000, 205% gain. Now, again, this is huge, because where else do you know that you're getting these type of gains? And really, in reality, it's not a lot of risk. $100, $150 here and there, $4,600 over the course of 3 years. All right. So, lastly, for you, really quick, hope I'm not boring you all. This is like, that was real numbers, by the way, right? That was like not faking nothing. That was real numbers. Okay. Because that's historic data. But what about the future, right? Am I late now? It's at 23,000, right? The dates, they don't really matter. You look at, this is 2020, 2021, 22, and 23. Okay, let's just imagine that. So let's say Bitcoin is going at 23,000 right now. You put $100. I got it. You bought at the high. Okay, but again, dollar cost averaging. This is what people on Wall Street do. Okay, so it went up to 24,000. You bought 19,000. You still bought the same amount. Look, let's just say it just keeps going up, right? There's some dips here, 30 to 40 to 30, right? But let's say in the next 3 years, it hits 80,000, okay? You put $3,700 in, you would have accumulated 0.1 Bitcoin, and your balance would be $8,600. That's still 134% gain. So can you still, if it doesn't come back down, can you still capitalize off this? Can you still get gains? The answer is yes, because as long as your money is growing, right, you can't lose if you're making profit. You know, I know I said last thing. Let me know if I'm over my time.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
A few minutes.
So, you know, this right here is a chart. I know there's some traders, Forex traders. I trade Forex as well. This is a chart that I haven't touched this chart since 2018. There's Bitcoin chart. Okay. If you know, for the Forex traders here, if I zoom it in, and I kid you not, I have not touched these support resistant lines for 3 years. But when you look, okay, like this is around the time I was really doing it, right? Marking it up. I'm marking off all the levels. I know this is advanced. I got it. But I was just marking off all the levels, and I'm just letting you know, like, price hits certain levels in all markets. It hits certain levels, and as they're hitting these levels, there's clues as to when it's going to start breaking out. Okay, so when I look at a higher scope, or not magnifying, like a elevated view, if you will, okay, I'm projecting on based off how I trade, how I've been taught also is I'm projecting that Bitcoin is going to run up to this negative 27 mark, which is 25,000. Okay. I'm projecting it's going to hit 25,000. Now the second
What are you basing that projection on?
this is
The trend line or something? Or what?
just off the Fibonacci
Oh, okay. All right.
extension. So when I trade and I look at the levels that after a retracement, let's say on a buy, if we were going long, I'm looking at certain things that take place on a retracement level. Right,
Okay.
that 38 points for people who aren't familiar, that 38.2 that you see there, that right here, 38.2, the 50, the 61.8. We're looking, you see, it hit a high here. These Fibonacci, these are called Fibonacci levels, right?
Right.
And these Fibonacci levels, you know, you have to look that up, but they're like almost perfect numbers, right?
Right.
And what happens is lots of action takes place around those areas. And who I've learned for, and this guy literally makes a couple $100,000s a day, $1 million a week in trading. We always shoot for, as far as once it hits these these retracement levels, and we see the trend continue up, or if it's going down, you know, our projected targets are the negative 27 and a negative 61.8. So I'm projecting right now anywhere between the negative 20, before the 25,000 to 32,000 before
It'll have another retracement.
Before that big retracement, right?
Okay.
So, so what does that look like? What that looks like? Yeah, what that looks like is, you know, we're going from this low to let's say it hits that and retraces. Okay, you have these levels, right? So let's say it goes up and hits 25,000. I'm seeing, you know, any retracement can possibly come down here. Excuse me. You see this? It can go up and then come down to this 61% mark, right?
Yeah.
That's saying $11,500 a coin. If you're saying it's too high right now, and you have the opportunity, if it does what I said, you know, if it does what I said and it goes up and it comes back down and it hits 11.5,
you can get your little bag.
Yeah.
And you're not buying.
Yeah.
Right?
And for those that trade, you can sell and make money too.
Yeah, you can do that too. Right?
But yeah, that's a really powerful.
So what I'm just saying is, people will say, "Oh, it's 25,000 is too high. It's 32,000 is too high. Oh, and now it's 11,000. It's probably not going to go back up." All I'm telling you is you've seen the historical data.
Oh, it's going to go back up.
You've seen the historical data. If you ever go to coinmarketcap.com and you click on tools, right, and then you click on historical snapshots, okay, this is where I got all that data earlier. You can go on here and you can see that on August 3rd, 2014, that Bitcoin was $586 a coin. Right? 754. Look, XRP, not even a penny.
Yeah.
Right.
You know that people became
Don't sleep on this, y'all. Really.
People became millionaires off XRP.
Yeah.
They put $200 on it.
Yep.
They put $200 on it. Okay. So
what is XRP in a sense of focus that they may have? Do they have a particular focus or particular type of
so XRP, their focus, so there's a company called Ripple. They created XRP. And XRP's focus is to move money across financial institutions, across countries, across borders, and oceans, right? Because it costs, ironic, like somehow, I don't know how, but it costs lots of money to move money. Like, so they bring the price down, and it takes a long time, right? So with XRP, it's the transactions are done in a matter of like 3 to 5 seconds. But they have partnerships with several banks that have been trying it out for many years now. Partnerships with, like, I think MoneyGram or the other one. Western Union, I think it was, maybe, where they help them move their money faster using their blockchain. Using it. So that's what XRP is, but definitely take a look into it. There's going to be people out there that's going to tell you XRP is no good. XRP is not going to last. You're going to find that there's a Bitcoin army, an Ethereum army, a Litecoin army. If you want to get caught up in all of that, go ahead, but you can end up losing out. The Bitcoin Cash army is a war between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash.
Yeah, there is.
What is it? You have Bitcoin Cash was born out of Bitcoin, but claim that they're the original Bitcoin. Because the developers who continue to work on and improve the technology, they have a disagreement. They didn't agree with each other. They decided to do what's called a fork, a hard fork. And they say, you go that way, we go that way. We're going to call ours Bitcoin Cash. And we're the real Bitcoin. This is the original dream of how Bitcoin is supposed to work. And then,
and he's the jailbird.
Yeah.
Well, no, he went to jail.
Yeah, no, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, and got out of jail and started all that mess.
Yep.
Carol, who is it?
I didn't think of his name, but I know the history because I was.
He was one of the first the Bitcoin guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
I forgot his name, but he went to jail. You can look him up.
All right.
But yeah, that's I hope that was
I got a quick question.
Okay.
Can you tell me again what those Fibonacci extension retracement numbers were? Was it negative 32.8 or something? What was it?
For like the target projection?
Yes, where it's gonna where
Negative,
the potential retracement would be at the top.
A negative 27% and a negative 61.8%.
Okay, so within that range. Yes, ma'am.
Just go to Sherelle. She's got it all. She's got it all there.
Wait, so let me ask you a question about that, because are those based on your projections? And I mean, that's based on a per person projection, right? Like that's your projection.
Yeah, that's just my opinion, my speculation. Based off of like I said, that the what's called support and resistance levels that I have drawn out since late 2017, early 2018. If you follow them, so if in trading, when you look left, we call it, it'll help you know what's going to happen. So it's in the future, right? Because you have ceilings. It hit an all-time high. Once it hits that level that you look left to, you wait for a reaction and you want to find out, is it going to break through or is it going to reject this level and come back down, right? Then it hits another level. You look to the left. Okay, what happened over there in the past? Oh, there was a resistance there before. Now it's sitting on top of that where it couldn't break through before, but now it's sitting on top of there and it's not going to push down. It's still going up, right? So, and then it takes off and it's like, these are levels they call support and resistance. And based off it following pretty much those support and resistance levels for the past 3 years, I'm just like, hey, if I see the low and where it's currently at high, this is where it's projected to go. That's how we use to get out of trades when we trade. We like, okay, we look at what our projection levels are. That negative 27% and negative 61.8% is what we call, at least in my trading style, is take profit 1 and take profit 2. So with that being said, those are just my thoughts.
Right.
You know, it could run up a little bit more, but
But it pretty much
you
will
look at your
follow. It'll
resistance
pretty
level.
much.
You look at your resistance levels and then you recalculate your Fibonacci's. Like,
well, okay, Damon. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Hold on. This is way advanced.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm loving it.
No, I mean I know, but everybody's not following.
I'm sorry. I was trying to keep it basic, but I was just trying to let them know, like, you know, what happens is we think 20,000 would be too high.
Right.
But then we saw over the years it came back down to 3,000. Right. So what I'm saying is, and that was it coming back down. So what I'm saying is, all I'm saying, the dollar cost averaging, don't be afraid to buy on the way down. Right. Like what I just shared, yes, is very advanced. Hope I didn't confuse anybody.
It was excellent.
Okay, great.
I was loving every minute of it.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just letting people know that.
I think you had a little something for everybody in that presentation.
I think it was great. No, that was great.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Easy to
But
follow.
okay, so you know what I just wanted to say was based on his dollar cost averaging, you know, there are Coinbase allows you to do that, and also Robinhood does too. Do you want to put, how much do you want to put in every month? That you put something in every month to be able to achieve those kind of goals.
Yeah.
So you can use those tools that they have.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
No, that's a great point. And that's something that, you know, I was looking forward to hearing about that, because I looked into that as well. And but I'm glad that he had it drawn out. So I didn't have it to that degree. And so I was like, oh man, yeah, this is going to be good, because like you said, when you have people that, you know, and Damon, I'm not saying that we can't go into that. It's just that right now we want to keep it kind of basic, and where everybody can kind of get their head around how to even get into the Bitcoin and the trading piece. Actually, we're going to talk about trading tomorrow a little bit, but that's going to be something that is going to be for another time, and extend it to a point where we can get into those things. Because I really want people to really get that there is so many levels to this. And you can't just take it at this basic level, but you got to start somewhere. But that right there, yeah, that'll take you. You ain't gonna sleep at night. So here's the.
It was really good. Really good.
Yeah. So no, I mean, I genuinely appreciate it, but I definitely don't want, you know, if somebody's on that is saying, look, how do you spell Bitcoin? And you know, and what is a Coinbase? I want them to know, no. This is where we're not leaving you behind. And so we want to make sure that happens. But we're going to make space for those conversations to take it to that level. And I'm hoping that, you know, everybody that is interested in that, we'll have those sessions. And I don't want to stop after this weekend. I want it to feel, where are we at? You know, as far as the people that I know, the people that I talk to, the people that I invite, where are we at? Does this feel right? Does it feel like we can do this again? Does it, you know, so I want to do that, but I want to get into those things when it's right for the group. So I appreciate the feedback. I'm thrilled to death.
You just have to give them a taste, you know.
No, I mean, that was like
something for them to look forward to.
This is powerful, you know. And the beauty of it is, just like with Carol, you know, I don't know what Carol's gonna bring. I just know that Carol knows her stuff. So boom, she put it out there, and I was like, bam, perfect. And you know, same thing with John. I was like, hey, I know you're gonna give us something good. So I didn't know where it was gonna go. So I appreciate it as well. And I think everybody, you know, hey, we got good information. But we don't, you know, we don't want them to go home saying,
what was that?
what was
that?
Fibonacci? I know some Italian, but and then all of a sudden,
But
yeah.
what?
I know about Fibonacci. I know what you're talking about with
Yeah,
and how it's a reoccurring kind of like number and sequence of value. I understand that. And
Right.
so
Right.
when it comes into that, I'm already thinking,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah. You
okay,
want to get
I
in there.
understand where you're coming from with that. And I'm trying to, how do I contextualize the Fibonacci, number sequence pattern, right?
Mhm.
Into this context. That's what I'm trying to get. And so, but I may be jumping ahead of myself. I will slow down.
Larger entities,
Foundational
larger
fact.
entities follow algorithms.
Yeah.
Larger
Right.
entities follow algorithms,
Mhm.
and
That's
those
good.
algorithms involve Fibonacci formulas.
Right.
So that's why you see it recurring, and that's why you see that those levels that he's talking about are they appear to be, pretty predictable because they're following algorithms. The people that are the larger entities that are making these purchases and making these sales. That's why.
Yeah. So Damon, excellent. And you were the prime example of just that spark, right? It was like you're listening like, hey, this is good stuff. I'm with it. And then something connected with you like, hey, whoa, I'm like, I need to dig in. And that's what's happening.
Okay, you got my attention now.
Oh, yeah.
Interest, now you have my attention.
Yeah. So that's great. I think everybody has that point. And that's why this is such a good open forum. And, I could have sat here and went through, 45 slides, and everybody been like, oh, okay, that's great. But that's not what I'm here for, and I'm like, okay, let's just roll with it. Let's see how it goes. And it's been beautiful. So I definitely want to do that. But I got the feeling now, and now I kind of see, a whole different vision of this. And so I hope that we can keep everybody kind of going on this track. And so on and so forth. Because like I said, me and Damon, we talk about things like this, and we got plans as well. So I look forward to having this extended conversation. And so what I want to do, so I appreciate that, Gianni. If anybody has any questions, please. It's right now, it's about 6:30, and that'll give me a little time to talk terms and some definitions and things like that. Because I know, there's a lot of information that comes out. There may be questions about, okay, I got the concept, but what did this mean, or what did that mean? And so just to hit on some of those things. If for everybody's like, okay, good, we're good to go, that's great. But we'll put it out there. If you got questions, you got comments, definitely open for all of that. And like I said, we got the knowledge is online, and so don't be afraid to just put it out there, whatever questions you got. So right now, like I said, I know, so Crystal came in, Randy. So Randy, if you are available, if you could kind of announce yourself, sir. I'm sorry I missed you last time with the screen on like this. I don't see everybody.
You're all right, man. Just taking it all in.
All right. Excellent. So yeah, so tell me, where you from and kind of what you got, any expectations?
Well, you wanted me to announce myself and kind of talk. I mean, is that what you wanted me to do?
Yeah, go ahead, give us a little bit.
I'm kind of modest. Randy Butler, knowing Rashid for quite a while. I worked for Texas College as a default manager. Went there to coach and got off an athletic director and some of the other things, and now in the finance end. And so Bitcoin is, I first heard about Bitcoin, I guess, a few years ago. Lambert Shaw, a classmate of mine out in California, spoke with me about it. And I looked into it a little bit. It just seemed at that time a little volatile. And so when you're, conservative like me, anything volatile, you kind of have to back up on it and put 6 eyes on it. And so I didn't do anything with it. And so when you had your deal on Facebook, I said, well, let me give it another look and then try to, because I didn't really get any formal understanding of it. I just kind of looked at it and just kind of read up a little bit on it, but I didn't really dive into it. This time I want to dive into it based on what you guys are saying. That's why I'm kind of taking it all in, and then I see where we go if I'm going to put some resources in this thing. So
excellent. No, I mean, I appreciate that. And like I said, I appreciate, you coming on, and like I said, I've been years, I always talk to, to our buddies back there in Tyler, Texas. And it's the traditional thing that, you move away, you do your thing, and you try to come back and hey, let's see if we can't offer this up to some other people that, if those benefits are there, then let's spread that word. And definitely coming home and spreading that word is really exciting. I don't know. Yeah, you didn't come on last night, but Shannon Murphy was on last night. She has something to do tonight. So, somebody else that we know, back from back home.
right.
So yeah, so it's pretty exciting. She said she'll be here tomorrow. Okay. Well, great. Welcome. I appreciate everybody coming on. So right now, like I said, we got about a little less than 30 minutes. Like I said, you got questions, you got comments, you can go ahead and put them in the chat. Like I said, I'm gonna go over some terms and things like that, and just talk a little bit about that. Hit some highlights. Talk a little bit about the like I said, the whales, what they're doing out there, and talk some terminology. And like I said, Gianni, Carol, Crystal, hey, feel free to make any comments as you see fit. All right. So can you guys, y'all see my screen okay?
Yes, we can.
All right, cool. All right. So what I'm going to do, all right, let me get my stuff set up here. All right. I always have trouble making this work. All right. I think that'll work right there. Okay. All right. We're going to talk a little bit about moving on up. And, when I talk about moving on up from an education perspective, from an income perspective, how do we take advantage of the opportunity that we have presented in front of us? And as we've heard very clearly, we have some great information that's been coming out. So appreciate that. All right, so let's see. We'll get past that. So here's a quote that I thought was pretty interesting. Intelligent investor is a realist who sells to optimists and buys from pessimists. One thing that I learned as I go along is that somebody has to buy when somebody sells. And so when you're looking at these green and red or whatever color you want to make those candlesticks, somebody has to buy when somebody sells, right? It's not just money floating out there. And so kind of like Gianni was showing us, when you go in there and you're looking for those that money to complete that cycle, especially with the Bitcoin, you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting, come on, you got 1, 2, come in to get them confirmations. And so somebody has to say, I will accept that price, right? And so that's kind of what I got from that quote. Sir Richard Branson has been talked about for years as well, favoring, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. Like he said, it's volatile, but people make money off of volatility too. And so when you're listening to them talk about the trade and the people that understand the trading, that you can make money going up and you make money coming down. And so when you see that volatility, and when let's say we look into the future and we have our opportunity to have this extended conversation, and we start going in on Forex, we start going in on trading cryptocurrency, and we have the knowledgeable people talking about, here's what the candlesticks look like, here's what the wicks are, here's what these resemble, when you start getting into the symbols and like I said, resistance and support and the bears and the bulls, you get into all of these terms. But at the end of the day, when I read this one, people make fortunes off of Bitcoin. So that to me says when it's going up, it's volatile. Okay, maybe it's going to shoot back down. Maybe it's going to go back up. Maybe it's going to shoot back down. But where are you in that process? Are you making money when everybody else is losing? And I'm not saying you're supposed to take advantage of folks. You're not taking advantage of nobody. You're just taking advantage of the moment. You can earn when it goes up. You can earn when it goes down. So somewhere in the past, somebody picked out a date in November. Like I said, it could be any date, but whatever that date was, Bitcoin, it was equal to $10.83. All right. So if it was $10.83 at that time, I want to give you just a little bit. And like I said, Gianni has covered this greatly. So I'm going to go pretty fast over some of these things, but I want to kind of give you a snapshot of, what I kind of look at and some things that I had to upgrade some information because of the, things are more current now. Okay. So remember that number, right? November, there was a date that it was $10.83. So when we look at this, so I went in there, I found a nice little pricing chart that showed, hey, here's what Bitcoin was at 2009, 10, 11, all the way up to 2020. Okay, so there was a day, I forget the date, but in March, there was a date, it was 6,000. There was another date, it was, 8,000, 6,000, 4,000. It changed, but I found one that it was around about 4,600. So that's where that number comes from. So here's the historical look at Bitcoin prices. Many variations on this are out there because of the different months that the price was recorded. So you can see how it shows it's going up over the years, but yet Bitcoin has always been volatile and would take a massive dive and correct itself from time to time. So last night, I asked that question. What was the price at the beginning of COVID or around the time of the pandemic in March? The closest number I think I got, and I think Donna gave it, was 6,000. And so between 6,000, it was 6,000 at one time, it was 4,000 one time. So yes. So Donna, if that was you last night, then you came close. Like I said, I got a little gift right here. I'll show you what the gift is. Here we go. If I can get it out of here. Bear with me. Sorry, I'm moving a little slow. Yeah, I got these cool glasses right here. Boom, nice little red tips on them. Not bad, not bad. But anyway, I'll show that a little later. So yeah, so if you want to win your award, I'll send that out to you. So that's what kind of want to show that. But what I really want to show you is just like Gianni, he went back and gave you some numbers and gave you some, hey, here's actually what will happen with dollar cost averaging. And so it's really great when you can see actual numbers and the calculations. Math, I tell my son all the time, math is math. It's numbers. You don't, 2 + 2 is always going to be 4. It's not going to one day just be 5. It's just numbers, right? So I stuck in here and I put $1,200 because in 2012 I took $1,200 and I put it into I bought Citigroup. So I bought $1,200 worth of Citigroup. I got that stock. So I said, what if I would took that $1,200 in July of 2012 and I would have put it into Bitcoin? And I left it in there because I haven't taken out what I have in my stock with Citigroup, and I have it with E-Trades right now. I went through a couple of different companies, but now it's with E-Trades. And that same, it's split. It was about $83 per share at its height. And so, hey, I'm sitting on right now. It's valued at about 7,000 is what it is, right? I've never taken it out. It's been in there. So, okay, great. I'm thinking, hey, it looks good. What if I would have put it in Bitcoin? Think about this. What have you invested in? Where have you put your money? And just plug that number in here. Let's say you did 1,200. And here it is, December 2020. Bitcoin being around 23,000 per share, quote unquote. Total return. The number's so big I can't even read it. So let's say 29 was at 297,000% return from 2012 to 2020. I would have been sitting on, like I said, I haven't touched that investment. I haven't touched anything in that account right now with my Citigroup stock. It's still there. But if I would have put that in Bitcoin and did the exact same practice, let it ride. Yeah, $3,565,000. Yeah, it's just numbers. I don't make this stuff up. So that's just one example. Then I did another example. Let's say you put $100 in November 2012. Like I said, it's the guy said, well, it was November, was trading at $10.83, and I'm sure it went up and down. But let's say it was about $10 at that time. But November 1st, if you would have put $100 in there, you would have made a profit of $182,000 today. No, it's just numbers. So, I mean, anybody dispute that? Anybody ever put numbers in and just kind of see what that would look like? This is what it looks like. Any questions? Any doubts? Okay. So, Gianni has already covered this pretty well in his own way. So I won't get into this, but that was just showing, you see the red and green, Bitcoin is going to go up, it's going to go down. Somebody is selling, somebody's buying. And so, like I said, I'm not going to get into that slide. I don't see everybody. So if there's, sometimes I don't see any comments or anything. So if you do have something that you want to put out there, you can unmute and just let me know. So because I got it narrowed down a little bit. Oh, okay, Gianni, I think he said he had to go. Okay, he's out because it's late over there. Anthony, I see you had a question. What is a similar opportunity today to make that type of return on investment? Like I said, one of the things you can look at, and this is kind of where we started collectively as far as between the Gianni and Carol. We looked at the altcoins because that was we were convinced by people, and correct me if I'm wrong, Carol, that they said Bitcoin was kind of out of our range at that point. We had missed that bubble, missed that train. And so the altcoins were just attractive. And
Yes.
And so the ICOs were really the thing at that time. So yeah, Anthony, to your point, the altcoins, when you look at Bitcoin, you see the numbers going from 1,000 to 15,000, and you're like, man, that's just, I can't get that. And so we had the mentality, and I talked to my wife about this, is when we look at stocks, you just look at like an Amazon or something, and it was at $1,200. You're like, oh man, that's just too high. I can't get in. Well, now it's over 3,000. Was it high? I mean, so now when you look back, it's like, oh man, you know what? When it was 1,200, when it was 1,000, when it was 5,000, and we had the opportunity to get in, it wasn't too much. But now, yeah, I'm not gonna, go and pay $20,000 for a Bitcoin, but you can look at Ripple or XRP. It's always got momentum, but like you said, when you do the research and you figure out which one has an actual use, which one has a utility, what are they doing, that as far as that token or that coin, what is it doing, and that's when you start to understand if they're going towards a certain market that has a demand for whatever that service or that viable product is, then that might be the one that breaks out because it can be used. It's something that the masses will use. And that's where money, currency, so on and so forth, is always a bet. Sometimes it's a good bet, sometimes it's not, but people will use money, digital or fiat. That's always going to be fluctuating. So you can make a killing or, you can get slaughtered, one or the other. So I would say the altcoins, you just have to kind of do research on each one. And I did a video about that some time ago, and I had 10 altcoins that I talked about and kind of detailed each one and why I thought they were viable alternatives to Bitcoin. So what makes Bitcoin different? I think that could be, a question. Bitcoin itself is, as Carol said, decentralized, distributed. It's secure, right? There's no central authority, so there's no clearinghouse. There's no Bitcoin corporation or financial institution that's kind of, playing hey, let's go up and down with it. Let's inflate it. Let's play games with it. No, it's peer to peer. It's person to person, and whatever that price is, it's based on that. And the trust or trust less, however you want to look at it, is between the two entities that are trading that money, and there's nobody in the middle that's checking that. And so they don't get to take pieces off the top. And we're getting at the mining is a little different, but there's fees involved, but there's no clearinghouse, so to speak, like we know of with banks and things like that. Entrepreneurs are more interested. So yeah, there's a growing number of entrepreneurs. They're basing their business model, their payment systems on using Bitcoin. And there's lists and lists and lists of companies around the world that will accept Bitcoin for services. I know that traveling wise, Expedia accepts Bitcoin. So I don't know if Amazon does or doesn't. I think I heard it did, but I have never looked at
You
that.
can buy
Uh-huh.
products off of Amazon with Bitcoin.
Oh, good. Okay. Because I'd never tried it, but I did hear that. And we know, I think we talked about where PayPal obviously is in the game now. So that's another one. So relative to other digital assets or fungible instruments, where they're interchangeable for the same value, that's something that is not unique, but it's where Bitcoin is useful, where it's not going to change your habits. Where if you use $1 to buy something, you can use a Bitcoin to buy something. So this is kind of what they're saying relative. And when they say digital assets, we're talking credit cards. When you say digital, we've been in the digital age forever. Everybody use a credit card. That credit card, you didn't give them money. You promised them that you're going to pay. And that's kind of, the only difference is Bitcoin, you're actually giving them money in a digital form, whereas a credit card, you're actually delaying it and getting, some crazy fees on top of it. Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, all these are digital. This is the same thing as Bitcoin. So that's where some of these entrepreneurs and these businesses, they don't see a difference. It's already happening. And so it's simple. It has mobility. And what I mean there, it's easier to transport. It's digital. It goes globally in seconds. And that's where Ripple, the XRP coin, that's kind of where, when Gianni was talking about that, they've put a lot of effort into building networks and building partnerships with banks. There's a massive bank. I can't think of the name of it to save my life for now, but it's out of the UK. It's one of their major banking systems, and they've been doing a lot of research on that with the Ripple token in their system, their form of a blockchain, to get those cross-border payments put out there. And one of the things that is the kind of offshoot of that is when big money, big banks, big industry, they're like, wait a minute, we can't beat them, so we might as well join them. And so,
Right.
So that's where I think the Ripple, and some people they didn't like the fact that Ripple was more or less trying to partner with the banks. And why? I mean, if the bank is going to create their own cryptocurrency, why not say use mine? And we'll just work together on it instead of fighting them, because it's going to be hard to win that fight. So a lot of that's going on, and they did work with trying to find a solution with Western Union, but the last report I saw was that they did not make a deal. So they went towards MoneyGram, and I think MoneyGram in some countries they were actually able to use that. Another area where cryptocurrency is working. In Venezuela, Venezuela has been having a lot of challenges with the U.S. and trade and so on and so forth, and trying to, change their government. They accepted Dash as a country currency, and they use Dash as a currency in that country for buying everything. So that's happening as well. Easy to secure. Like you said, you got the wallets. And the secure aspect of this is that compared to dollars or fiat currency, then cryptocurrency, the money laundering is pretty much not happening. You have what they call the anti-money laundering policies, and then you have the KYC, which your customer. So when you set up accounts and you have that transit between keys, then there's not a lot of interference with that. So it's pretty secure on the blockchain, and insulated from bank defaults. So obviously you're not going to worry about censorship. You're not worrying about inflation. You're definitely not worried about a bank defaulting because you're not using a bank. So that's for another day. So I wanted to ask this question: what do Bitcoins look like? So for any, so for anybody out here that, you know, hey, I'm just putting it out there. If I got some more glasses, you know, I can give away. I got gifts. Somebody, you know, if you want to put it in the chat, or if you want to just yell it out, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What do you think a Bitcoin looks like?
3.
Number 3. Okay, we got number 3. All right. Anybody else? So everybody's like, okay. All right, give me one more. Somebody give me just let me know that you're here. Anthony.
Anthony wants you to repeat the question.
Yeah, what's okay, what does a Bitcoin look like?
As everybody does a Google search.
I see logos, but I thought Bitcoin was digital, so it should be like some ones and some O's. Right?
That's what's up. Okay. Somebody is
these are digital images, so I mean.
So when you say what does it look like, you're talking about a physical image of it? Is that?
Yeah. What do you think? When you think of Bitcoin, what do you think? What do you think it looks like?
I think it looks like a gold coin.
Because and no, but this is all right. Gianni, okay. Now look at here. This is good. I appreciate that. So we got the goal. We got so we got number 3. It's come up a few times. Okay. Now if y'all want me to answer this, I will. Okay. It is digital. And I have the answer right there at the bottom. So Bitcoin looks like a whole lot of numbers and dashes.
Hello, give me my money. Give me my check. Put some respect on my check.
And so, but I did that because I you know, I've seen it so many times where, you know, you see people going to these, you know, events and they'll make actual coins because everybody wants that representation of what they think it looks like. And you will create it like a gold coin or a silver coin. It's going to be replicated and represented in that way just for the nature of saying that is. Now, the closest that you will get is number 2. To an actual physical, because you got to scan the code, right? So you have basically a paper wallet, and so those are some of the wallets that they talked about. So you can have your Bitcoin bank, and that was something that we kind of threw around back in the day as well, having your own bank, and so because it's just you holding your money, you can put it in the wallet, you can leave it on the exchange, you can do what you want to it, it's yours. So someone actually about physical ones like that, and no way, Gianni, that's crazy. Yeah. So if somebody presents a gold, silver, or any other color Bitcoin to you, and they say it is $23,000 and you can have yours today.
Oh Lord. Run in the opposite direction.
And I want to sell you the Brooklyn Bridge.
So I want y'all to fully get that, is that I wanted you to know that, yes, you will see representations of that, but it is definitely not something physical. That is not happening. But it's nice to have as a token, you know, for memory. So I appreciate that. But yeah, like I said, I got some nice shades, you know, for the winter. Was that Crystal?
I believe it was.
All right, good stuff. So everyone has the brain power to make money in stocks, but not everyone has the stomach. That's probably the most truest statement I've seen in a while. And if it's like that for stock, you can imagine what it's like for Bitcoin. So let's be careful. We already talked about that. Terms and conditions related to Bitcoin. Let's dive right in. Fiat currency. So we all know the term fiat. We kind of got an idea. So I'm gonna quickly, like I said, I'm not gonna beleaguer this. I'm gonna hit these pretty quick. Fiat currency is a traditional currency like the US dollar, like the euro. Ultimately derives its value from use being mandated by a government for payment of taxes or legal tender. Fiat money is a medium of exchange. That's pretty much all it is, but it's the government that determines its value based upon they say that's what it's worth. That's how currency, fiat currency, has become what we use. Is somebody decided that's what it is. I had a video, but like I said, I don't want to get into that. If somebody wants to see it, they can. Mike Mahoney has a series of videos about money, the history of money, and all the way up to today. Additionally, they talk about, I guess it was 1971 or so, when Nixon made a statement about, hey, the gold is not going to be backing the US dollar anymore. And he had all of these countries that had given up their gold just to use the US dollar as the world reserve currency, which it is still to this day. So, like I said, whole lot of information on that. But when you start to factor in that history, then you start to understand why cryptocurrency makes so much sense and why you don't want to miss the boat on cryptocurrency. So what is cryptocurrency? Like I said, we've talked about this pretty good. Can it replace fiat currency? So I looked into that a little bit. There's some split, information on this. But I'll just say that one of the things I read about said, yes, it can, as many institutions and governments are gradually working on issuing their own cryptocurrency. And so the rub is they're trying to create something, a digital currency, but I don't think it's the definition of cryptocurrency. They'll have some protections in there, but it's probably going to act just like a Samsung Pay or Apple Pay or a credit card, just in another wrapper that they can regulate and they can control.
Absolutely.
So that really doesn't meet the definition of peer-to-peer decentralized cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency has to be reliable first, and also it needs to be pegged to some type of asset, and then there may be some conversation about that. One of the things that I'll skip some of this stuff and I'll go straight to, I want to make sure I throw out there is, the central banks are looking at the cross-border digital currencies, and there's about six countries that central banks around the world that are in on making this happen, and they're very, like I said, very serious about it. But there is still some challenges with that because every country has their own rules they want to live by. But these six, if they can get it together, then they're really trying to dive in with the stable coin being that divider. And Libra had the best plan, that Facebook was putting out there.
Mhm.
But obviously, when the US government is trying to break up Facebook because they're bigger than the government, then influentially, then of course the other countries are going to be like, well, if the US is fighting them, then I guess we'll fight them too. And so now they had to go back and revamp that, and it's coming back in a different form. So I don't think it's going to have the power that it had before. But if they would have gotten that passed, then yes, I think they would have played the role of what China is doing in the world with their Silk Belt or Belt Road or whatever they're doing. It's similar to what Libra would do to the financial world. And so they're trying to really stop that from happening. Whereas, one or two companies or kind of a group of companies really take over that segment. And when it comes to money and currency, the US ain't gonna sleep on that.
No.
Can I ask a quick question though?
Yeah, please.
Can I let's say I have so many of a type of Bitcoin. For example, what you have on the screen, Ethereum, right?
Okay.
Am I saying it right?
Ethereum.
Ethereum. If I were, can I turn in my Ethereum for a Bitcoin? And does
Good
that
question.
transfer?
Yeah, you can exchange.
You can, but you have to do it through a converter.
Right.
Yeah, so I think you showed that Changelly that Carol showed last night. That's one way of doing it. You can't, let's say for instance, if you were on Coinbase, you could not take Ethereum and directly purchase the Bitcoin. You would have to either go through US dollars or another currency in order to make
Mhm.
that payment. So you and I used it was a Shapeshift, I think it is.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yeah, Shapeshift is one, but they like I said, they charge a lot for those things though.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
really hard to use them.
yeah, I want to,
Very
because
cumbersome.
like,
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, because it almost sounds like there might be a strategy to kind of an opportunity to strategize around the differences in currencies, and because if one is going up, like, you know, I put $100 in this one, I put $100 in this one, and then let's say that, you know, uh Ethereum
Mhm.
increases in
Yep.
value while
Yep.
Bitcoin is, let's say, stagnant, although this is just an example because it's not, because it is so volatile.
Mhm.
You know, if I put in, let's say, $100 there in Ethereum, it goes up 20%, then I can say, hey, my, what's that word, dollar cost average,
Okay.
could I look at that and say, okay, this might be a good time for me to convert
Okay.
before the next big thing. And I know that in itself is kind of risky too, but there's an opportunity there because it's
Mhm,
timing,
mhm,
right? But if the cost of it is too much,
mhm.
then, you know, it would seem as though I would have to have, you know, enough
Mhm.
to buffer that transference
Yeah.
to level up to a Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Mhm.
and I'm with you. And real quick, I mean, if anybody else has something, I'll just say this real quick because like I said, I can't see everything.
Most people,
Mhm.
and I'm saying this, well, I'll put it like this. The people who are into crypto are usually holding Bitcoin and
Right.
Ethereum
Right.
and Dash
Yep.
and Litecoin.
Mhm.
So we're not really playing one against the other,
Right. Right.
but we hold all of them.
Right.
Right. Okay. That's fair.
Exactly.
We
Yeah.
probably hold more Bitcoin than any of the other ones, you
Yeah.
know, but most of us have all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, and kind of what you're saying there is the volatility is really kind of the difference between that, and because we have the stock mind, you know, because we understand a little bit more about how the stocks work and we kind of see that. But so when you look at the volatility piece over here, if you hear that term, if you equate it to kind of traditionally, you're like, oh my gosh. But no, we look at it and say, oh, that's cool because I can diversify. So when you
Right.
diversify what you have, then let's say you can take the $100 and do 100 here, 100 there, 100 there. Or if you want to do the dollar cost averaging and just do 100 on Bitcoin and do, you know, 30 a month on Ethereum or so on and so forth, because then you can look at the stratification of how much between Bitcoin and Ethereum, you know, two totally different numbers. And so you can see some value there. One of the things that you'll notice is Bitcoin is pretty steady in it's payment, it's money, it's the replacement or you know,
Right.
if you want to say replacement, but it's about money and payments. Ethereum, it is doing, you know, hey, how can I help, you know, this new you know, company or whatever create a new app or create, you know, new products or whatever on my particular blockchain. You
Yeah,
know,
it's
you
a lot
Mhm.
of it is for contracts.
Right. So you can, so it's doing totally different things. So so the value of it, if it goes from 300 to $600, and Bitcoin goes from, you know, 20,000 to 21,000, you may think, oh wow, this is big over here, but the amount that you're going to, your ROI on Ethereum is way bigger, but you paid a lot less, you know, so you don't want to not have it, but you kind of want to see what it's doing. And right now it's doing a lot. with what they call the DeFi, project. It's very confusing, but I keep seeing it pop up, and I'm trying to learn a little bit more about what it's doing. But I know that Ethereum is front and center on that, and so the ones that say, hey, you know what, something's happening, is something good happening, then they're going to start purchasing more of that, and you'll see it grow. And I've noticed that Ethereum, their percentages as far as increase and what they've been doing lately has been higher than most of the other coins. Litecoin hits every now and then, but and Stellar, but and Ripple, and that's like I said, that's yeah, you want to have multiple coins in your portfolio. That's really the message here.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah. So yeah, so definitely that's something that I think we can, and this is where I talk about that advanced, course where we can say when we start the conversation, we're talking about strategies because everybody's already in the space.
Right.
So I would I would love to start the conversation there, but I don't want anybody to be like, oh, what in the heck is going on? So we'll definitely, let's focus on that and keep that in your pocket, because we want to do that. Okay, so anybody else got anything? Like I said, I don't want to stretch it out here too long. Okay, let's go.
Well, I am have to jump off in a little bit, but I do appreciate all of this, and me, I kind of thrive in complexities, and just trying to understand that, because there is a strategy, right, and there's a tolerance, that I'm trying to wrap my head around, and this dollar cost averaging does give me an opportunity to understand this differently, and but definitely I love what this is saying so far, so thank you.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'll do about 5 minutes, and I'll try to hit on some of the things that I think would close it out really well, because like I said, we've talked about pretty much all of this. We know how to get Bitcoin. Like I said, you got the exchanges. You can if you want to talk about mining, which that's just not something I'm willing to do personally, but if you want to know how to do it, then I can point you in that direction.
Something that you're not willing to do personally anymore.
well, there was a time and I was like, give me my
time.
But it's just not today. There's so many better ways to do it today. I mean, you may not make as much as fast, but that it's not as labor intensive, so to speak. Okay. What is digital wallet? We covered that already, so I'm not gonna do that. And blockchain, I know that we talk about Bitcoin, and the blockchain for me was a pivot that I made back when, and even I don't know if Carol, if you was in OneCoin or not, and I know
my neighbors were in OneCoin too.
Okay, so that's where after that experience, I started to look more into what is driving these currencies, and so blockchain became kind of a passion of mine, and then the ICOs and so on and so forth. And so I invest in companies that actually use blockchain technology, and 5G and so on and so forth. So that's where I have if you look at some of the talks I do is about the future of work and the future of technology, so on and so forth, because it all equates back to what am I going to invest in, and how am I going to position myself, that has a sustainable kind of investment for the future. And so these technologies really open that up. So blockchain, we can get into that, like I said, at another time. The time is tight. We've had really good evening, so I don't want to go into all of that when everybody's kind of really still bubbling off of that good information we've kind of went over already. But yeah, that's the technology. Obviously, that's the blockchain is what's driving your Bitcoin and your cryptocurrencies and things like that. One thing I'll mention is there is distributed ledger technology called Hashgraph, which is supposedly more secure than blockchain, and credit unions have experimented with it and had good results. Hyperledger, I did some courses on Hyperledger, and when you have a company that's looking at blockchain as a service, then there are questions that they ask to see which hyperledger, which version of that is needed. So it gets really deep into the technology, but the companies that are behind it, a lot of times you can get in on the ground floor, just like with the ICOs. There's opportunity with these as well. IOTA, the IOTA was something that was really big at the beginning. They have something called a Tangle, which is a decentralized distributed ledger technology, and Ripple has a hybrid blockchain.
Yeah.
So, so those are just some of the things going on. So we talked about that exchanges. We talked about that. Got it. Real quick on this one, and I'll go ahead and shut it down. So CBDC, central bank digital currencies. We don't have, like I said, it's not a matter of going into too much detail tonight, but at a point, if we have more sessions and so on and so forth, we really want to understand the role of central banks and why they're talking about digital currencies and how that impacts us. Because if we're involved in that space and we're basically looking to benefit off of it, then either they're going to help the process or they're trying to stop the process that benefits us the most. And so really getting a good understanding of how that's happening. And like I said, there's definitely passive income that it doesn't matter what they do, we're going to still be okay.
Right.
But really understanding what these central banks are doing, and then finding out, okay, who's lobbying for and who's lobbying against. And then just really having it's really getting a good insight on how that plays out. And I look at, like I said, the International Monetary Fund and the World Economic Forum to really come up with content for some of the talks that I do. This is central to it because I'm so committed to broadcasting the benefits of cryptocurrency.
Well, can I just say this? That is still one of the major fights against Ripple.
Yeah.
Back in like 2017, 18, they were accusing Ripple of selling out.
Yeah.
If they're letting the banks use Ripple, then the banks are going to try to centralize Ripple. So now you're centralizing a cryptocurrency, which is supposed to be decentralized.
Yeah.
That's how the fight got started.
Yeah.
But you can still make money. I mean, I bought a ton of Ripple. I'm mad at them, but I did buy a ton of it. So, and been sitting on it since 2017.
Yeah, when it was, I remember being at the office and we had a little lieutenant commander come in there, and he didn't know anything about it, but he talked a little bit about Bitcoin, and that's 2016, 17 when I was like really in it, and I used to talk about it all the time. And him and one of the master sergeants came in and sat down, and it was funny because they were looking at it, but they just really didn't know what to do. They just said, I want to get in it. Both of them had about 10,000 each that they were wanting to put in. And we sat there and went through, some of the top 10 and narrowed it down to Ripple. The thing about Ripple that discouraged me initially was you could not just go buy it. You had to find the right exchange to get it. And I was like, I cannot make this work.
And you had to take your Bitcoin and or Ethereum and buy it.
And see, I was like, because I hadn't looked at Ripple. I had looked at some of the other ones that from the ICO perspective, but I really hadn't got into that. And I was like, and so when they brought it up and they were like, hey, we want to look into this one. I was like, oh, okay, right. And so that's when I started. They invested, one guy, like I said, put 10 in there, and the other one, there was two of them. He put 10, I think he split it between, it was an ICO out of Norway, I think it was. And it was about hydro mining. And then he did the rest in Ripple. Within, I think about 5 days, that thing went from, it had, it was crazy. I think he had basically got about 80,000. It was sitting at about 80,000 in that short time frame. And it was like, it was ridiculous. I had never seen anything. I was like, good Lord. And I didn't get it. And I was pissed. I was like, man, I should have got that. And and here the problem was, and that's why I say it was so tricky, because when the guy tried to cash out, he could not. It was one of those, he hit the button and it just never confirmed. It never confirmed. And I honestly believe that was the impetus to him leaving the job where I was at and went on sick leave. Dude went on medical and never came back. I'm not kidding you. I don't know if it was that, but all I know is he never came back, and because he couldn't get the money. I mean, I don't know. I can't. It was like 2 or 3 years ago, and I can't. I about maybe 16, 17. So I don't know exactly like all the details, but I remember he was stressed out and very upset, because I was like, I'm glad I didn't, because we couldn't figure out. I'm like, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know why it will not let you confirm. And he never could get the money. He never could get it out. So, so that was why I kind of said, well, So whatever that exchange that we were using when we were talking about it or whatever, I don't remember exactly which one, but that one, I was like, I always stayed away from it because it was bad news.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So yeah, Ripple, I still believe that it is definitely one of the most powerful, and anybody that has it, Ripple has been doing some leaps and bounds here.
It did a leap a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. So it is definitely the one to be in.
I saw it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So let me ask a question. Is that partially about what banks or institutions that kind of support or use that currency as a part of their financial transactions? Because we know that Bitcoin is now become more diversified in a variety of different ways with different banks, and I think that because of that, I think confirmation, it makes it easier, right? That three. But if it's a new one and it doesn't have a solid institution, or I would say a series of financial institutions to back it, does that also signal that it's more risky in a sense?
Well, one of the things that I was picking up on is you have to find out which banks. There's not a lot of publicity on a bank that's trying to support cryptocurrency. Most of them are trying to keep the fiat going because that's how they make their money, like make killings, over the fees and taxes and all that kind of stuff. So you don't get a lot of support. There are certain ones out there, but they're trying to create their own cryptocurrency. And so they're not really trying to play nice with the other ones. They're just trying to get information, maybe to build and create their own network with their own internal, so they can make, because they won't make any money off of if they use another currency. So that's where the issues are with dealing with the banking system.
The banks were more or less saying, since we can't beat them, we need to join them.
Yeah.
And so that's when you started seeing the banks offer cryptocurrency to their customers, because they put it in with the portfolio because people were asking for it and banks couldn't give it to them. And now what you're seeing is they've put it in with their portfolio, so people can now come into the bank, some banks, and ask for cryptocurrency to be held as part of their diversification. But banks liked about Ripple was the blockchain that Ripple's on, to help them do their banking better.
Yeah. So one in addition to that, right? I don't, and so I guess the difference I was thinking, from what you said, Damon, focusing on the banks is one thing, and like I said, Ripple definitely has some conversation in that lane. When they talk about investments into these cryptocurrencies, then you're looking at the financial institutions that do an investment, the investment side. So I was kind of separating the banks from the investment managers and the financial institutions that only do, the investments. And so I think you have kind of a different look at it. Whereas I know in a sense the banks, you know, they're all financial institutions, so they offer the I don't take any of the like CDs and anything that's offered through a bank. I don't use that as my investment. I always go straight with a broker or go with Fidelity,
Yeah.
E-Trade, you know, so that's why I kind of separated those two. But I'm sure that, yeah, like you said, if you are taking out some of the investments through a bank, then yes, they are trying to capitalize off of that and offer those things. The ones that you know are smart enough to do that. So yeah, I mean, this one guy says Bitcoin will do the banks what email did the postal industry. So the banks have a decision to make. Do you play ball, or you know, basically somewhere in the future, this digital currency is going to take hold, and people are going to realize that. Um, so here, this is, yeah, and I'll shut it down after this. So like we were talking about with the, you know, the advent of the banking or financial institutions and how they have, you know, wised up and got involved. This article in Forbes, you know, it talked about there was these 20 institutions that they had a listing, and and when they say, you know, I read the article to figure out what did he say by, you know, mean by, but soon the list may vanish. Basically, it's there now, but they really didn't want this published. So that was the whole vanishing piece of it, because of what they're doing. Um, when this was published, which was just recently, you know, Bitcoin had increased by 250% since January. So we know 23,700. That was the last number that I saw. That was kind of the highest that I had recorded on my chart. And earlier it went back down to 22, and I think it's bounced around 22, 23 since we've been on here. So Grayscale is like one of the massive investment firms that has really put a lot of effort into offering this to their clients, to the tune of, when they added the Bitcoin to it, the total record that they hit for the quarter, 751 million for the quarter, but 57 million for that the week. You know, so their total fund with all their assets is 4.5 billion, and this is due in part to publicly trading investment opportunities like Bitcoin. And so, like it said here, investments in the grayscale, you know, Bitcoin can serve as a useful proxy for institutional interest in crypto assets. So at the end of the day, this is just another confirmation that their customers are saying, hey, come on, man, you know, we need to get in the game. And they're offering that. And just like when Gianni showed, you know, the amounts that's being traded, you know, there was one that was like a 3 million, another one was 980,000, another one 78,000. I mean, that's not your retail investor sitting around. Those are actual institutions that are trading massive amounts. So, you know, but yeah, that was the list of organizations that are trading at Bitcoin right now. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at. And like I said, I don't want to stretch this out way more than it needs to be. Like I said, we could do this all night, but I know that everybody don't want to do this. Anthony, you did have, you mentioned something here about speak to the stress, the 24-hour cycle. Are you referring to if somebody is involved in cryptocurrency and just because, you know, and 24 hours, I mean, there is a 24-hour, but you're there is a time period that you know you may not get your trade your purchase through, just depending on, you know, what time that is. I don't personally know because I don't do it at night. At that time I'm up 3 4 2 at all hours, but I don't do trading that late. I know when I was doing Forex trading, I was always looking at, you know, Japan and the US and the Japan and Great Britain. you know, so I will look at the Tokyo cycle. So there are some dead spots that you can take a break in there if you're doing those trades. But with cryptocurrency, unless you're doing some day trading, then you shouldn't put yourself in a position to stress out over the trades, and definitely not. Don't be watching it 24 hours. So I'm hoping that's not what people are looking to do, to put themselves in that position. But if that's not kind of your question or your comment, yeah, let me know. I'm kind of leaning to that way. That's kind of what I was getting out of that. Okay. Well, if we do we have any questions, comments, anybody got anything before we go ahead and close this out? Okay. I don't hear anything. I mean,
What's tomorrow going to be?
oh, okay. I was like, man, it's quiet on here, boy. Woo. Okay. Tomorrow. Yes. I have I mean I can make time to do other things, but I have there's about 4 people that asked me to go into detail, and I told them I would push it to the 3rd day. They had talked to me about a program that I doing pretty good in, and that's the Cash FX. So I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail about that program and what it does. Very similar to IML. There's no monthly fee or whatever, but there's some trade-offs, you know, obviously. But it's just it's you know, they're using forex, you know, people, and they're using the auto bots to do some trading, some
Mhm.
AI, and they just introduced goodness gracious, like live trades. They just did that this past week, which I haven't even opened it up because I'm not personally going to do that, but it's more of a automated trading, so true passive. So if somebody is very new, very, you know, and they want to see a weekly kind of commission, about 15% on whatever is happening, it fluctuates depending on the market. Then it's something like that, minimal investment. So you know, it has the highs. You know, if you want to come in big, you can be that person, or you just say, hey, you know, want to try it out, see what happens over a certain period of time. My ROI, I got my money back in about 90 days, and
Mhm.
so I've never marketed it. Because I wasn't, that wasn't my, you know, I was like, I'm good, long as I'm, you know, I just see it come in, put it in my little account, and I never marketed it. I just kept it. And it's like literally a week ago, 4 people said, 3 of them are out of the country. I'm like, oh, okay, you want to know about this. And so that's what sparked me to even put that out and say, hey, let's do a series on just Bitcoin and talk about it and see where people are. And so they were like, hey, when are we going to talk about this? And I said, well, you know, you can come on and kind of learn a little bit about just Bitcoin in general. And then Saturday I'll dedicate, you know, that to that. So if anybody says, hey, look, I just want to know about it and not really concerned about that piece, then at least you get that out of the way. No problem. We're good. But yeah, so that's what I was gonna, I needed to highlight that tomorrow. Yeah, it's more focused on here's what the program entails, and how it, you know, how you know, just doing a kind of a presentation on that program based on, you know, I got the slides, all that good stuff. So I'm going to go through that and then kind of talk a little strategy based on some things that when I first started, kind of what the sponsor, what he kind of talked to me about, and getting in there and doing that, how to move the how to get the investment in there. You know, you gotta get the purchase, then you got to do the 2F
Yeah.
authentication. You know, a lot of people get kind of caught up in there. I did have some
Mhm.
people that's been with me for years that, you know, over in Liberia, and it just, they couldn't figure it out. And so finally we just had to get on a Zoom and work through it. So that's really what I'm looking for tomorrow, is to go ahead and open that up and give them that, because they've one of them, he said he's going to register after he gets in the information. But I have 3 people that registered, and they said, hey, now what do I do? So that's why I set that aside for that day, tomorrow. Yeah, talking more about.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So yeah, so I'm glad that, like I said, Gianni, like I said, he's he's really good. He used to do training with us when I was at IML, and I had another guy that was he was supposed to come on tonight, and he got caught up. But yeah, he was part of the group too. And we all used to get on with Gianni and learn a little bit about those things. So yeah, it's a good.
Yeah, that dollar cost averaging is powerful.
No, I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
I started that, some time ago, and that's why I say that's probably, I got probably four different streams going on. It took some years and some losses, but when I
Mhm.
finally said, oh, so now I'm like, hey, I don't, because I didn't, I stopped recruiting. I love the business model, but I said, if somebody asks, I'll tell them. But if they don't ask, I'm gonna get my commission. It's all good.
I get your money
Um,
anyway.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. So I was, yeah,
Right.
I'm good with it. So,
You can
but
always
yeah, but
show
like I
them
said,
better than you can tell them.
and I think at the end of the day, that's why I was like, oh, okay, somebody's reaching out, and 2 of them in the military, and so I thought that was pretty cool. And they're in another group. I have a business group for veterans, and so they were like, hey, look, got a question. I see you talking about Bitcoin, and so it was at least okay, cool. I'm happy to give you that, because when I first started, I was like, look, we need to know about this. I don't know why we running from this. This is, man,
So
we
they
missing
ain't
out.
going nowhere.
We missing it, and other folks are they cleaning up. So I'm glad that we got some folks in there that wanna do something. And the benefits are there. So yeah. So I mean, you're welcome. If you want to just if you're not busy, like I said, I welcome anybody. If you want to come on and see what I'm talking about. Like I said, you already got something good, and it's nothing. It's just, this is what I'm doing Saturday, talking more about that program.
Yeah, it's always nice to have a passive money stream.
Yeah. This is easy. I mean, I'm never, because I'm doing, like I said, I'm trying to, I'm still working on, like I said, I just created the company Next Ever Learning, and it's an e-learning platform. So I'm focused on building courses for that platform. So I just didn't want to, do too many things, but I wanted to make money. And when I finally was able to see that return, I was like, oh man. So I went on and upgraded, and now I'm like, man, okay, this is working. Um, so yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know if y'all know, if y'all see me on Facebook, I just finished a business accelerator, a small business accelerator, cohort. It was a 60-day.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
that's nice.
Yeah. I was invited to that, and I was pretty thrilled about it. And I went on, and I thought, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be tough, because I was doing some other stuff. And but no, it was every 2 weeks we had a 3-hour meeting, and it was just good interaction. It was all the information. I was like, wow, this is good stuff. And I really learned a lot for my business to in that. And so we had a pitch contest, the graduation, did our pitch. And I've never did a sales pitch. I've done, like I said, network marketing. I can get in front of a crowd. That's all good, but never really did a business sales pitch. And
Yeah.
I had to do the pitch
You know,
deck.
type investors.
Yeah. When you Shark Tank type,
Right.
but they gave us 5 minutes, and they gave us these slides. We went through it. We got coaches. We had to talk to them. And they take us through it and everything. I was at about 7 minutes, and I was like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna get this down to 5. But I kept at it, and I was talking to the lady. She was helping me out. And I got it down to about 5 minutes, 30 seconds. And you know, we recorded it. And then on the day of, they had the judges that kind of gave us the feedback. And I was like, oh man, this is crazy. And put mine on, boom, knocked it out. And oh, I was like, hey, we'll see what happens. And they were like, third place is such and such. I was like, oh, they did good, you know. They said second place, L3 Coaching Solutions, Rashid Hill. Oh, what? Second? What?
Great.
So I was so excited. It was like, wow, I really like, okay, because you have to do so much research. And
Right.
I was like, man, they get percentages like boom, boom, boom. So mine was based on, you know, career strategy for veterans transitioning from the military. And that's what I do anyway, really. It's career strategy and career consulting, resumes, stuff like that for military transitioning to civilian life. And I partnered with a company over in Georgia, lady that I was in Kuwait with as a contractor. And she has about 7,000 members in her Facebook group that's looking for contracting jobs. And she's, you know, resumes. That's what she started doing. And oh my God, she was like,
Wow.
yo, you know, you need to get on this. And so, yeah, you know, I do federal resumes. She wasn't doing federal. I said, oh, I got that. I do that anyway. And so now,
There you go.
yeah, I'm a full-time federal employee. Like I've been doing this forever. So yeah, so between that's where the money is, you know. And the lowest for federal 385 for resume, and every month I think from day one it was like, hey, I got two, and then 2 weeks later she's like, oh, here's two more that you know are interested. And it's just, I mean, I got people in Kuwait, people in, you know, because they're contractors and they just want to,
Right.
so one, they got the money. It's not an issue. And two, my brother's in Iraq, and he knew one of the guys that submitted, you know, for a resume, and a lady down in New Orleans, and they all, you know, mostly military veterans, and so it's the, you know, the terminology. So we talk the same talk. They know I'm not trying to get over. I'm not trying to scam. I'm like, look, this is what it takes. And you know, taking a resume and flipping it to federal, it ain't no easy deal. They look different, they read different. And I've been on, I mean, I'm you know, I was regional director over here for federal government with the Navy for 3 years. I had to create positions, and so I've been through all of that. And so I'm like, no, you can have a really nice resume, but it won't pass because of some of the steps involved. And so it's got to look a certain way. And it's you know, it's crazy. It takes a lot of time. But yeah, so anyway, I was just thrilled that, you know, I'm like, hey, you know what? I've never done that. And I got the second place, and it was pretty exciting. So I said, I might as well just tell folks.
Yeah, well, congratulations. That is a
Yeah. So it's been